which was 89 grading and 28 touchdowns, 18 picks. He could churn out 5 years of that, and fans would want to burn him at the stake.
Ralph,
Uh,
you're a
you're
chip.
chi-
You're a
you're
chipmunk
chipmunking
again.
again, but you're right.
Fuck. God damn it. What could it must be something with the Skype then, Mike, huh?
I would think so, man, because I have never had that. I have never had the issue you're having right now with
Fuck.
the live streaming. At least I've never had that happen. Um, yeah, it's got to be what it is. Hey, you know what you could do? Um, do you have the Skype plan? Do you have the dial-in plan from your Skype where you can call cell phones and whatnot?
Yeah.
Call your cell phone, put your cell phone mute, put your Skype on mute, and talk through your phone.
Okay.
See what that does.
Sorry,
I've done that.
everybody.
I've done that before when I had issues like with Skype. Like I literally had to call somebody from the or I think I called myself from the phone one time, and then I just finished up our show from the cell phone.
Oh my God. Andrew, this gives me this this scares me to death for Monday.
It should.
Sorry, everyone. Oh man. Hello.
Now mute
Hello.
your Skype.
So yeah, we'll
So
see
yeah,
how
we'll
this
see how this
records. But
records. But
I just
I
want to
just
say,
want to say,
I
I
think
think with
the
the
Saints,
Saints,
it's
it's
the thing with
the thing with
Brees.
Brees.
I mean,
I
Andrew,
mean, Andrew,
where would you,
where would you,
if
if
when you
you,
look
when
back
we
on
look
him,
back
right,
on
and when
him,
you're
right,
like,
and
oh
we're
my
like,
God,
oh
it's
my
gonna be,
God, it's gonna be,
all
all
his
his
great
great
performances.
performances.
Which one are
Which
you
one are you
gonna
going to
be
be
like?
like,
God
God
damn,
damn,
that
that
was
was
the
the
one
one
I'll
I'll
always
always
remember.
remember.
And
And
if
if
I
I
have
have
a
a
DVD
DVD
of
of
it
it
or
or
whatever,
whatever,
I'm
I'm
gonna
going to
be
be
playing
playing
it
it backwards and
when I'm
forwards
like
when I'm like
85 and in the
85 and
home.
in the home.
Oh, just my favorite moment.
Yeah.
Yeah.
You know, when they played the Rams, and Brees was on the run, and he threw that touchdown pass. I think it was to Kobe Fleener. Um, I just remember that pass, and this was kind of at the heart of really when the arm truthers were really starting to get louder, and for him to throw that ball and with such accuracy on the run, it was just such a middle finger to the people that were naysaying him and kind of disbelieving that he could still do it. So that throw comes to mind as just a great play.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Mike,
Mike,
your
your
favorite Drew Brees
favorite Drew
moment.
Brees moment?
Okay, there's no way I can do one. I would have to go with a couple, and y'all are gonna be like, no way. Why, how could you say that? But I mean, one obviously is the Super Bowl because I mean I don't know how you don't go with that. It's just you think about the literal tears of joy we all probably shared, just him orchestrating that second half in the march down where they finally took where they took the lead, and then the 2 point conversion, and then they held off, and it was sealed by a defensive player, but you know what I mean. I mean he was exceptional in
Hmm.
that Super Bowl. So that's one, and then y'all are gonna think I'm crazy, but that 49ers game in that divisional round, he dealt on
Oh,
that was a hostile environment against an incredible defense, and Drew Brees is not the reason we lost that game, and that was an incredible performance. The third one would be, and I don't know why we're getting background noise because we can't hear it. The third one would be the Minnesota game. I mean, that was just tremendous stuff, man. Like what he did in that second half was unreal.
Yeah. I mean,
yeah. I mean,
I'm gonna say
I'm gonna say
weird, but
weird,
that
but
first
that first
Cleveland game,
Cleveland
I was
game, I was
so
so
excited
excited
when the
when the
Saints were like
Saints were like
running a
running a
modern
modern
offense,
offense,
and he's hitting
and he's hitting
Colston.
Colston.
What was the
But the
Washington game in
Washington game in
2017 where they
2017,
just
where
pulled
they
it
just
out their
pulled it out
ass
their
and he's
ass,
hitting
and he's
Fleener
hitting
Oh
left
my
and
Fleener
right?
left
God.
and right.
It was
It was just like just theft. It was just so fantastic, because it was just classic Breeze, and that like it wasn't one great throw. It was just great throw here to Fleener, a tight fit there, the play to Kamara where like Kamara bobbles it but still scores. It was just amazing. So I mean, do you Andrew, when you look at Breeze and you think of all the amazing things he does, like what do you look at him and go like, he does this better than any fucking quarterback I've seen? Because he's not the tall, right? He's not the tallest. He doesn't have the strongest arm. He doesn't have this. You can argue maybe Brady's better at process, but like, what do you look at him and you're like, there ain't never gonna be another quarterback that does that?
All right, now that you've asked that question, Ralph, mute yourself because people are hearing double, and I'm wondering if it'll stop if you mute yourself. So now when you come back on, unmute yourself, but I would mute yourself now. But I kind of just go back to his mechanics, and Brees has kind of ruined watching other quarterbacks. Like, I'm a big LSU fan, and obviously LSU's been the exact opposite for the last really the entire time that Brees has been with the Saints. LSU has been a disaster at quarterback. And so every week I watch them play and I'm like, oh man, Brees wouldn't have done it that way. And of course, I mean, he's a professional in LSU. They have amateur quarterbacks, but it has ruined my enjoyment of watching LSU because obviously they have no one that's even remotely comparable in terms of performance. But I just kind of go back to how reliable he is. I know the ball's going to be out. I know it's going to be accurate, and you start to take that for granted because it's the same every time.
Ralph, mute yourself on OBS. It's probably picking up your microphone and your phone.
Gotcha. I got it.
Okay, so Andrew, you actually just nailed something because watching LSU's offense after on Sunday, well, before, we watch it on Saturday, but it's hard, and it does make you appreciate good quarterback play because LSU's offense and quarterback play has just been abysmal, and I don't need to go there, but yeah, it's really hard, man. It's hard. I'm just gonna say this. I think this is Breeze's last year, and just cherish it, people, because they ain't nobody that's going to replace him. And if it happens, let me just say, I will be the first person to scream on Twitter and say I was wrong. If somebody comes behind him and is as good or better, I want to be wrong. I do, but I just don't see it happening.
I want good quarterbacking. I want top 10 quarterback until 2025. That would be amazing. But
yes.
That's a good segue. That's a good segue, Andrew. Do you think that this is going to be Breeze's last year?
I do. I think it will be. Not. I think it'll be his last period because it's not that he couldn't play after this year, but I think the Saints are going to say, hey, Drew, it's time for us to move on. We want to commit to Teddy, and we want him to be our quarterback next year. And I think Brees will say, you know what, I'm not sure I want to move to a new city. And I mean, it's possible. Yeah. It's possible that, listen, it happened with Peyton Manning. So I don't want to be so naive to say that there's no way Brees won't wear another uniform. I mean, it's possible. But yeah, I think he's done. And, I will say this. I'm coming into this like assuming – and nothing's a given here, but my gut tells me that Bridgewater will be the Saints quarterback in 2021. And I kind of view this like, man, the Saints will be pretty lucky if he ends up being a top 10, top 15 quarterback in the league. Like if he's basically, a top 10, bottom half of top 10 or top 15 quarterback, the Saints are going to be lucky with that. And I would take that. So like my first thing is, I'm not expecting him, like my standard and my expectations are much lower for the next guy. So I'm not going to put that pressure on Bridgewater. And I still think the Saints can win. I mean, we've seen the Ravens win a Super Bowl with Flacco. We've seen the Giants win a Super Bowl with Eli Manning. We've seen Andy Dalton make the playoffs with the Bengals. So, like, you can win with a guy that's not Brees, but what it does do is it puts a lot more pressure on Mickey Loomis and Sean Payton to call good plays, to get the personnel moves right, and make sure they support this quarterback with a solid roster and foundation. And they have to do that to be able to win. Because, man, if we go through more of this like Brandon Browner, Jason David, Rob Ryan, Steve Spagnuolo, like if we have stuff, Brandon Browner, like if we have stuff like that again, the next quarterback's going to go 1-15 with that stuff. So there's not going to be any more like 7-9 masking epic disasters with a Hall of Fame quarterback. You're going to go 1-15 when you support him with that. If you have a layman at quarterback, you can still win with the layman. I'm okay with the layman, but you know, now like the game changes a little bit in terms of what your head coach and GM have to determine.
And let me add something to what you just saying. So, since 2006 when Brees came in, if you go on yards as far as offensive rankings, if you go by yards since 06, they have never been higher than, if what I'm looking at is correctly on ProFootballReference.com, they have never been higher than 8. So they have been number 1 a bunch of times, number 2. They were 4th ranked a couple times. They were 6th once, but they have never been higher than 8th, which ironically was last year. That was the least amount of yards according to what I'm looking at, which seems weird. So maybe this is wrong. But my point is, that's the type of prolific offense Brees has ran. Now, defensively, oh dear God, you don't want me to go through those rankings because most of them are plus 20.
Here's the thing. Here's the thing with the offense, Mike, and it was a thing in 2017, as much fun as it was, and it was a bounce back year. Andrew, they dropped from number 1 to number 18 in third down efficiency, and you'd have thought that they were the worst third down team on the face of the earth that ever was. Like, Saints fans were freaking the fuck out because it felt like it was awful, but it was really just slightly below average, right?
So imagine once Brees is gone and that badness, and what you just said, all of a sudden the bottom falls out. It's like, that's what I'm saying. You're conditioned as human beings. We condition ourselves to certain things, and it's like you're conditioned now. It's like if you had a job and you're making $100,000 a year, and all of a sudden you're conditioned to that. So that's the norm for you. And then all of a sudden you drop down and you're only making 50 a year. And I'm just using this for example. All of a sudden, now you can live off of 50 a year, but you can't live as good as you were living off of 100 a year. And it's going to be much harder for you. So all of a sudden at 50, it feels like you're bottom of the barrel when you're actually not as bad off as you may imagine, but you were so used to that 100 that it's hard to live at that 50. And that's like what's going to happen. And I just don't,
oh my God.
I want to be wrong. I so want to be wrong, but it's going to be hard. It's going to be an adjustment. And like you just said, Ralph, if Bridgewater's 15th, if he's a 15th ranked quarterback, man, Saints fans are going to be ready to riot. They're going to be ready to burn this man at the stake.
I won't even get into the whole Teddy Bridgewater is black, and that makes a lot of Saints fans uncomfortable. And that, like, it will. If he's not top 10, people are going to want to run him out of town on a rail.
Well, let me be clear. Like, if he's the 8th best quarterback in the league, that's going to be garbage for a lot of people.
Yep.
That will equate to he sucks. And you know, that's a reality. Like, it's going to be very interesting being on a podcast post Drew Brees and dealing with the vitriol from fans that will ensue from the quarterback not being Drew Brees.
It's going to be ridiculous.
It's going to be ridiculous. And the thing is,
I'm here for it, though.
I'm here for the Teddy Bridgewater threw 31 touchdowns and 13 interceptions and had a 93 rating, and he's fine, and us battling the rest of the world that he's no good, I'm here for it. So
that's the best case scenario, honestly.
It is. I think he's going to be somewhere between Aaron Brooks and like the ninth best quarterback. I'm very optimistic, Mike, on the Teddy Bridgewater era. But this podcast wasn't meant to be that way. But here's my last question, and then we can get out of here. The thing about Drew Brees that I find it so interesting is that there's going to be a lot of quarterbacks that are going to come along, and they might not win as much as Tom Brady. They might not have 6 rings and all that, but they're going to look like Tom Brady, right? They're going to be they're going to be 6'3", 6'4". They're going to have a cannon arm. They might be mobile, whatever. I don't know that we're ever going to see a dude like Brees who's going to throw for 70,000 yards off his fucking tippy toes. Like, Mike, he reminds me of Allen Iverson. Obviously, he doesn't compare the same in that, Allen Iverson never won a championship and all that. But Allen Iverson was this freakazoid of this tiny little 170-pound dude, and he was leading the league in scoring. And you might never fucking see it again. And I just feel like Brees, they might somebody come along and break all his records, but they ain't going to be fucking 5'10" and throwing off their tippy toes.
Yeah, that ain't happening, man. You're not. I feel bad. I'm gonna go on record right now. I feel bad for Bridgewater because when he's between the 10th and 15th ranked quarterback as a Saint, assuming that's in 2020, it's just the people are not. The Saints fans are so accustomed to greatness, and I know that greatness only got us a Super Bowl, but God damn it, I love it and I'm gonna take it. It's just you're not. It's going to be a sad day, man. And like y'all just said, y'all are here for, burn it down, because that's what you're going to hear a lot of. It's going to be like, oh, this guy, we got to move on for him. We got to draft. That's when you're going to start hearing, we got to draft this guy. We got to draft this guy. And every freaking year, it's going to be who's going to be the next freaking quarterback Jesus of New Orleans. And the quarterback Jesus of New Orleans ain't coming along probably. It's going to be hard. There's whoever that next great Saints quarterback would be, it's going to have to come. Hopefully it's Teddy. I don't know. But it's just, it's probably not going to happen. And there may be some lean years. And here's the thing, Ralph, you just said it. Even if there's not lean years, Andrew just said it. If Teddy's the number 8th ranked quarterback in the league, even if he can get to that point, you're going to hear people going, this ain't cutting it. Oh my God, their third down percentage is this. Oh, his completion percentage is that. And the whole while I'm going to be sitting there going, y'all some guns should have appreciated when you were getting 70% completions and when you were getting all those yards thrown for, and not complaining about the fact of, well, he didn't do this right or he didn't do that right. Because I see it on Twitter. And I go, what the hell is wrong with these people's heads?
Final question, Andrew. Where is Brees going to finish up in the quarterback pantheon? In the NFL, because he's gonna own all the records. Where is he gonna finish up in the pantheon? Right.
This Rams game, it really hurt me, and I think it was worse for me than the Vikings game. And they were both horrific in the way that they ended, in different ways. Obviously, I think in some ways the Vikings thing was more shocking because it was one play, boom, done. What just happened? The Rams was kind of a slow death, right? Where you could see it start to unravel after that blown call. But, to me, the Rams one was much worse because the Saints were one call away from the Super Bowl. And, we don't know what happens. The Saints would have had to go to Philly, and who knows what happens after that Vikings game. But, in the Rams game, I mean, that play call is made differently by the referee, and the Saints are in the Super Bowl. And so when I look at Drew Brees and you're comparing him to Roethlisberger, who I think, he probably still ahead of Roethlisberger, but I think if he gets to a second Super Bowl, and who knows how that game plays out, but let's say the Saints win it, they're even in Super Bowls. Brees is definitely ahead of him. And then you start to ask yourself, Peyton Manning. Okay, Peyton Manning won 2, but if Brees wins a second, then all of a sudden you're saying, oh man, like Brees won 2, Peyton Manning won 2, but Brees was kind of better winning his second one than Manning was, and they went head to head once, and Brees won that one. I think Brees winning 2 Super Bowls puts him ahead of Brett Favre. I think it puts him ahead of Aaron Rodgers. I think when you compare him to Tom Brady, if he had beaten Brady head to head, then all of a sudden you're starting to say, well, Brees was 2-0 in Super Bowls, and his 2 wins were against Manning and Brady. So that loss was, I think, most painful to me. On top of just like having your guts ripped out and my team not making the Super Bowl, like for Brees' legacy, that really hurt me because I really felt like that was an opportunity to maybe kind of wedge him in as 1A behind Brady, or at least have the opportunity for argument. I think right now he's a top 5 quarterback all time. I think you can say that, and I don't really think anyone can debate that. That is without question. Now, when you try to start to wedge him into the top 3, those are the guys he's going up against. Brett Favre, Rodgers, and then obviously Brady and Peyton Manning are at the top. And then it's just a question of where does he fit in with all those guys. And then there's the whole stats era discussion, right? Where he was in the stats era with Manning and Brady, and or some of these older quarterbacks kind of weighted unfairly because
but
they
his
weren't
stats are
era.
right. But in the stats era, like he laps people. Like even in the era of it's a passing league, like people still don't throw for 5,000 yards, and Brees does it on the regular. Like I feel like whenever Brees retires, like people are going to look back at him and be like, dude, he did what? Like Mike, I feel like Brees, even if he doesn't get another Super Bowl, like he's going to hold up really, really well because of all like the stats for him aren't just a little bit better than everybody. Like he's boat racing people stat wise.
Yeah, the stat wise, he's boat racing people, and I do agree. I think he's top 5. I mean, and people will say, well, you're all Saints fans, y'all are going to say that, but I mean, the guy's incredible. I mean, just the numbers, they don't lie. You can't dispute it, and I agree. It would have helped if he would have won another Super Bowl or 2. That definitely cements it. I mean, he beat Manning head to head in the one Super Bowl that he did win. It's just. Here's something that I don't know if I've ever heard y'all ever talk about this, but I also think another thing that hurts him as far as his rankings go. You guys know I live in Dallas. If he's a freaking Dallas Cowboy with these numbers, they're screaming he's the greatest fucking quarterback of all time because he would have been a Cowboy with those numbers. But no, he's a New Orleans Saint, small market. That makes a big difference. And he took that small market and put him on his shoulders, and he was great with it. But I think that also plays into that whole, how great is he as far as once you start to rank him. I really think, playing in a big market helps. So keep that little caveat out there as you think about it. But he's top 5. I mean, you cannot look at them numbers and go, oh, he's not. And I mean, I hate the whole Super Bowl argument a lot of times, especially as it pertains to football, because you have so many factors. You have 22 guys on the field, plus you have special teams. It is, I don't give a damn how great you are. You are not one player like LeBron James or Michael Jordan on a basketball court where you can control things that much more. You can really control things a lot better in those sports. This is football. I mean, there's a reason Dan Marino does not have a Super Bowl, and it has nothing to do with Dan Marino. I mean, you can't put that on his shoulders. So
well, everybody agrees. Everybody agrees. I mean, it's like the old adage, like Dan Marino is better than Trent Dilfer. I think we all know that and agree. So, I mean, it's one of those things. I agree with you that the measurement of Super Bowls attached to quarterbacks and what that means for their legacy is unfair. And in Brees' case specifically, when you consider some of the defenses that he had to play with, and I've said this before on this podcast, Ralph, when you talk about Brees and his legacy and how good he was, I would submit as Exhibit A of how good he was. And I've told Ralph this on this podcast. If my kids ask me one day, what was so great about this guy, Dad? Like, what's this Drew Brees guy? I mean, my son's 8 years old, so he's starting to get it, and he sees Brees, and he's watched the DVD of 2009, so he gets it on some level. But maybe it's my grandkids. If my grandkids ask me one day, "Hey, Dad or Grandpa, what's up with this Brees guy? What was so special about him?" I will show them the defenses that he had to play with Spagnuolo in let's see, what year was that? 2012, 2013.
Yeah.
And then the Rob Ryan one that was close with Brandon Browner. I would show those two defenses to my grandkids, and I would say, son or granddaughter, Brees was so good that he was paired with these two defenses, and he won 7 games.
Multiple
Dude,
times.
those defenses were just outlaw.
I mean, no, but
must
seriously, you put any other quarterback with those.
They win one game.
They win one game.
They win two.
The 2015 Saints defense is like my Skype. It's just a fucking abomination, and you knew it was gonna fail. You just didn't know when it was gonna fail.
I mean, do y'all remember the years when the damn siren would go off for third down? They finally stopped that stupid siren in the goddamn Superdome. And the freaking siren would go off. And I remember one time I was listening to a podcast, and Dave's like, I wish they'd stop with that stupid siren, because all that siren does is mean first down for the other team. And it was true. Like, the freaking siren, every third down, the siren would go off, and it was like, okay, here comes the first down from the other team. I mean, like, he battled through that and wins 7 games. And people are like, oh, well, he didn't get his team to the playoffs. He didn't do this. He didn't do that. Yeah. Do you realize the shit show that defense was? It was an abomination.
I mean, I again, like Exhibit A, like one of Brees's best games of his career with the Saints was when he threw for 7 touchdowns against the New York Giants and lit up the Giants on every drive that he took the ball. And yet somehow it took a 56-yard field goal from Kai Forbath at the gun to win 52-49.
Right.
That's what he was dealing with.
One of the only times, and it was one of only a couple of times in NFL history where the team scoring 40 plus or 49 like won, and one of the other times was the Monday night game. I don't remember the stat, but that was a miracle in itself.
That should be on a loop. They should play that game on a loop behind Drew Brees when he gives his Hall of Fame speech. So, on that note, we will end it. Thanks to everybody for sticking with us in the live stream. We appreciate it. This has been Drunk Saints History. Thanks to Mike for joining us. Go to Booking the Territory. It's awesome. You can subscribe at multiple levels. I do the $2 level. It's amazing. Andrew, thanks for joining us. You've been drinking all day. Thanks to everybody in the live stream. Sorry it had a hiccup. We'll try to get it figured out, and we will see you later on.
Ralph, you still there? Oh, y'all hung up. Hello?
Yo.
Hello,
Ralph,
this is
here?
Ralph Walbro. I can you call, but leave me a message, and I'll text as soon as I can.
We're talking to Ralph's
tone,
answer machine.
Please record your message.
What's going on right
When
now?
Who's on first?
Yo.
Hello, this is Ralph Walbro. I can't take your call, but leave me a
What
message
is he doing?
as
I
soon as
think
can.
I think because we're like
at the tone,
redoing
please record your
the
message.
the call.
When you have
I have no clue why it's doing that.
Hmm.
Oh, there he is. Ralph, now he's on video. What's up, Ralph? Now take yourself off mute so we can hear you. Now, to take your All right, now I
Can
think
you
we
hear
can
me?
hear you now, Ralph.
Yeah,
Yeah.
like Mike, like what would do you think it's got to be Skype because I'm in the Ethernet, right? So it's got to be
Well,
Skype.
Juge was
You're
just saying.
stroking out, Ralph, again.
All right.
Juge was just saying. Juge was just saying. You know, it could possibly be your computer. I don't know if you want to hear that, but and I don't know what kind of computer you have, but I mean, I've live streamed. I've never had this issue when I live stream where it sounded like a chipmunk. Not
Mhm.
once. So
Yeah.
I don't know if that would be it too. I mean, you're on Ethernet and that means you've got a stable connection, but and I mean, you're not in a situation like at my house where, my mother-in-law lives with me and my wife, obviously, they're always streaming on their tablets while I'm doing it. So I mean, I'm pushing out probably a lot more than you are. I guess it could be your computer, but I have no clue. I mean, that wouldn't make sense though. The only thing I'd say is it doing it when you don't, like, I would try to do a show next week without live streaming just to see if